everyone, Steph here from thegoodride.com. We are here checking out the Jones Women's Flagship in 152. The Flagship hasn't changed for the 2022, just an updated top sheet and everything. It is still that hard charging, straight lining free ride board that the Flagship always has been. So size wise for the Women's Flagship, you get choices between a 146, a 149, a 152, and a 155. So it has Jones's directional rocker profile, which is a positive camber in between the bindings going to this rockered nose, and the contact point on the tail comes about right here, so it's mostly rocker on the nose. And it also comes with the 3D contour base. You get that spoon nose up here with a little bit of a raised up fenders that give you extra float and powder. It also comes with the Traction Tech 3.0, so you get a very mellow wave in the side cut that allows you to have extra edge hold on ice and in hard snow conditions. The Flagship is obviously directional. It's also tapered. It's got 12.5 millimeter taper, and it has a pretty stiff flex, so it's an 8 out of 10 flex. So it keeps it very stable, very kind of that straight liney, hard charging free ride board. And it also comes with a float pack. You get an extra step back for your bindings so that you can get optimal float on powder days. The thing with the float pack is you can only use it with a full-size disc binding. So if you run mini discs, you won't be able to set it all the way back and you'll just have to go about right here. But if you have the full-size disc binding, you can set it all the way back and just add that much more float for powder days. As far as the personality and the way it rides and everything, nothing has changed with the Flagship. For me, it's medium fast to turn. Granted, I've never been able to try the Flagship in my correct size. I've always ridden the 152. So I can only imagine that if it was in my right size, then it would be like a good medium to turn. But you know, even so, in the 152, I'm able to maneuver it pretty quickly as long as it's at speed. If it goes a little slower, then it's a little bit harder to initiate that turn. You got to be a little bit more firm with the turns. It is a very stable board. It likes to ride fast. It likes to go straight. It likes to just go over the chunder and like cut through all the cruddy snow. It doesn't really want to turn through that. It's the power through type personality. It definitely likes speed, so if you're on the groomers, you can open it up and really haul. It's a really fun board to get out there first thing in the morning when there's fresh groomers or fresh tracks to be had, and it just like, it likes to cruise in those types of conditions. It likes wide open steeps, you know, types of terrain that you can make these large radius open turns on is kind of where the Flagship seems to thrive the most. It doesn't really like small radius turns. It can do medium, but prefers that large, medium, open turn. And you know, the 3D contour base allows the Flagship to not feel extremely locked in. It does have a little bit of play to it. It's not a super aggressive camber profile feel. It does have a little bit of room for error, so that's nice, and that also allows it to float better in powder as well. On groomers, you know, bringing it down onto the groomers, carving is super fun on this board. Definitely lay it over. It is stable, it is fast, and you can definitely make some large radius carves with this board. It's not my favorite for off-piste and trees. I prefer the hovercraft to the Flagship off-piste and through tight situations. The Jones Flagship I feel much better in like open, wide open terrain where you can just really like let it haul and take some space up while you're making your turns. It's more about the open bowls and the open faces and the wide open groomers and stuff like that is where I've really enjoyed riding this board. So the Flagship isn't geared towards park riding. It can hit natural features. It is very stable. If you're gonna hit like a natural rock drop or drop a cliff or something, you definitely have a nice stable platform to land on. But you know, you can ride it switch, so it does give you the option to maybe take off switch or land switch. It's not gonna be ideal because it is tapered and is directional, but because of the tail, it's not a super aggressive, like directional tail, you're able to ride it switch if you want. In powder, the Flagship does great. It has a nice profile for floating in powder. You get the tapered tail, which allows that tail to sink down. You get the huge nose with the 3D contour base, which allows it to float and feel super floaty and a little bit like looser in softer snow. So who is the Flagship for? It is for that advanced to expert rider looking for a hard charging free ride board that likes speed, that likes to go fast, that likes to straight line things, someone who enjoys carving at higher speeds and also enjoys floating in open bowls and wide open terrain, and likes bombing down big open groomers. If you like riding more off piste and through trees, then I feel like the hovercraft is a good equivalent to that. But the Flagship is sendy and it is aggressive, and it kind of likes that technical steep riding atmosphere, and it likes riding with speed. It's damp, it's a smooth ride. If you like just floating over the chunder and through the crud and not even worrying about turns or whatever, and you like large open turns all over the mountain, then maybe check out the Jones Flagship.